Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, this movie had a lot going for it. You know, it's the sequel to the Avengers. It's a bunch of different heroes coming together. We had movies after the Avengers, you know, leading into Phase 2, and we got Captain America, Winter Soldier, which I think really stepped things up for the cinematic universe. I think everyone kind of puts that, like, in, like, the top three. It's like Winter Soldier is not one of those movies. We had, like, Thor 2 and stuff, and you know, now we have Avengers 2 to kind of end out, you know, this next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before we get, like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Avengers 3, you know, way down the line, Black Panther, and all this other stuff. And, you know, this movie had a lot to live up to, honestly, and I think it did that. And it was definitely a fun movie. It was, of course, a fun action movie. You know, lots of action. You know, we'd seen the Avengers, so they don't waste time where it's like, the characters are talking as if they're meeting for the first time. They're just a team now. Like, they're doing what they're doing, and it's really cool from start to finish. I really enjoy that. And, you know, just so you guys know, this review would be, like, spoiler free. Like, the only, like, minute spoiler that I'm going to give you guys is that there is no end credit scene. That's really, you know, obviously not a spoiler because there's nothing there. It's just to save your time if you guys haven't seen it and you're watching this. That's pretty much the only thing I'm telling you that's going to be in the movie, and technically it's not in the movie, so don't sit through it, because like 98% of us are in there, and it's like, you know, the Avengers will return, Marvel logo, distributed by Walt Disney and Marvel Inc. Bye, and that was it. And so it kind of sucked, like we were all a little disappointed, but you know, there's no end credit scene, not even like a little shawarma scene, like nothing at all. So don't wait through the credits. They have the one after like the first former credits where it's like, here's all the main characters or main actors as their characters and stuff, with like all the fancy digital stuff like they do in pretty much all the Marvel movies. And then they have a scene there like they do in pretty much everything else. But there is no like after credit scene that you guys have to sit around for. So, you know, just save your time. But going into this movie, I was definitely excited. I was really curious to see how a lot of these characters really fit into the story, because it's like you watch the trailers and it's like, okay, well, they have some stuff here. It's like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver with, you know, fighting against the team. Like the current TV spot kind of shows it, where it's like they're sort of talking about Scarlet Witch being on their team a little bit, and I was like, you know, I don't know how that works out, and I was very curious how everything kind of blended all together. Like, there are characters that we hardly got to see at all, and you know, there's one character specifically who we barely got to see at all, and had like, you know, one tiny moment in, I believe, the second or third trailer, and you know, has his own poster, and that's really it. There was kind of like, you know, nothing to it. But I was very curious. I'm like, you know, there's these characters who are like starting off as the enemies. They're basically weapons, you know, by Baron von Strucker is the person. So they're like basically weapons, and it's like, how does that, you know, in this film, how do things change, and how do the characters grow, you know, within this film? How do these new characters get developed? And I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty well done. I don't think they did it 100% perfect. Like, there is some stuff that I wish we got to see more of, like really with the twins. I wish we got to see more development on the characters. I feel like we did get quite a bit on them, because it's obviously different than like, oh, it's the X-Men, you know, backstory, because that's not what it is for the characters, because they can't do that. That's why they're not mutants. They're like, you know, the experiments pretty much. And so that's kind of unfortunate, because it would be awesome if they even remotely mentioned that stuff. But you know, we get sort of a backstory on them, and you know, they kind of go into their characters. We get some, like, I loved Ultron. Like, we get an interesting look into the character who's obviously created in this film, and it's like we get to, you know, experience the growth of this character throughout the film, and it's really fun to watch, because the character was surprisingly funny. Like, I was thinking, you know, from the trailers, you know, I was expecting like just a total villain. Like, there's, you know, nothing to really enjoy about this villain as a character. It's just, this villain's going to be awesome because it's going to be like this crazy villain that the characters have to go up against. But really, like, Ultron is really his own character. He does grow as an actual AI. He experiences things where it's like he does something and it's like, oh crap, like I messed up. And they have a bunch of different lines in there where he's actually really funny, and it's like, he did something wrong, he did something he didn't mean to do, or he's just talking with someone and he uses certain dialect where it's like, I really didn't expect that. I thought he'd be like super robotic, but it was, actually very human. So I enjoyed that. That was a nice little surprise going through it. It's like, it wasn't just like a robot villain character that's really powerful. It was like a robot AI that actually grew and was genuine and really funny. So I loved that. I thought it was very well done. The voice is super awesome. I think everyone kind of loves how they did the voice for Ultron. It was definitely cool throughout the entire film. I loved that. Um, I think, like I said, with the other new characters, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, that was pretty cool. Um, with the final character who's the Vision, and if you didn't know that, that's not a spoiler. Like, I know some people consider that a spoiler, but it's in the trailer. There is a poster. It's all over. Like, you have to, like, not have watched, like, the third trailer before it was on TV all the time. That would be the only way you didn't know that. So if that is a spoiler, I'm sorry, but it's just been out there for a long time that the character's in there, so it's not really a spoiler. They just don't show off all the scenes because it's like this, really big character who kind of is a result, like is created because of Ultron. That's pretty much the only reason those two characters exist. Is kind of sort of an odd cycle, like for those characters. It's like this character is made and then this character is made because that character was made. So that's kind of how that works out. And I think it was well done. They had to change a ton of stuff because in the comics, Tony is not the one who makes Ultron. It's actually Ant-Man. And of course, we don't have the Ant-Man movie out yet. That's coming a bit later. So, they changed things around, but it works perfectly. Personally, I feel it works really good. The acting for Vision was pretty cool. It's like the person who normally plays Jarvis is Vision, so I thought it was kind of cool. It was an actual person. I thought it was going to be complete CG, just like Ultron, but it's an actual person dressed as Vision, so it actually looks... It was kind of weird because I kept thinking, like, every time I would see, like, the small little clips, I always thought it was a completely CG character, just like Ultron. And then they have certain scenes where, aside from obviously flying around with like super speeds and stuff, it is an actual person. It's like, it's kind of weird, like seeing his actual eyes, because I just think of this character as like a robot, because that's what it is. But it's kind of funny how they do it. So I definitely enjoyed it. I thought the action was cool. There are a couple of really good twists in this, which I will do kind of in my spoiler video. But there are some really good twists. They actually had, like, one of the twists allowed for like a huge dive into one of the characters that just like came out of nowhere, but it was actually really good. And it was just like, that's actually really awesome. Like, that was the last thing I expected from this movie, was like something this deep for one of the characters, and it was actually really, really cool and unexpected. So I love that. They had some other personal connections between the members and how they have to deal with Ultron, and how, with Tony being the one that made Ultron, they have to kind of deal with that stuff as a team. It's like, you made this thing, and obviously issues happen. So I thought it was pretty cool. Like, there are some other issues which I can't get into in this video because they'd be spoilers, and I don't want to get into too much detail. But like pretty much anyone, I wouldn't say skip this movie or anything like that. It was definitely a fun movie. They did, drop like their couple of hints and lead into certain things. Like, here's, some random stuff that we're planning for Avengers 3 and like the cinematic universe growing into what we all know is going to be the Infinity Wars for like the gems and all that stuff. And, Thanos and this and that. So they put it in there. They didn't focus on it like hardly at all. It was just like, this is happening, and now these characters know before it happens in the next film. So it was a nice subtle little way for them to do that. Like, boom, there it is, and let's get back to what this movie is before trying to expand like 90 minutes on what's happening, years from now. So I actually thought it was well done. I thought that was pretty cool. Great action. The CG was really sweet on the characters. Ultron was super awesome. Like, his upgrades and how he upgraded was really cool. The acting for all the characters, I personally think, was really well done. Nice couple of twists thrown in there. Some deep character development for some of the characters. It wasn't like every single person just had like the craziest, deepest development ever. But they had some stuff in there that really caught me off guard. But it was definitely well played. So I love the movie. I would highly recommend it. I mean, obviously, if you're watching this, you've either seen it or you're just gonna see it and you just want to see a review anyway. But it's definitely a fun movie. Like I said, don't stay after the credits because there isn't anything. It's just the Avengers will return. So there is no extra credit scene. Just once you see the first scene after like the big fancy credits, you can just take off because that's all there is to it. But it's a fun movie. Like I said, odds are if you're checking this out, you already saw the movie or you're going to see it no matter what anyway. But it's definitely fun. I think it lives up, to the hype. And it does it in an interesting way. It does it through character development. It has great action too, but it does do it mostly through some of the surprising character development in there and some of the stuff that I wasn't expecting as far as some of the characters like Ultron being so genuine and human that it was far more entertaining to watch him than I expected it to be. I thought he would just be that menacing villain. And I was like, oh, he's actually fun to watch because he does, even though he's an amazing AI, he does have to develop as an AI. So we see that, throughout the film, and it's actually pretty awesome. So I loved it. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, be careful with spoilers if you're looking in the comments because that's just gonna happen. But I want to know what you guys thought of the movie. If you have seen it, what your expectations are. If you haven't, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.